All right, I got a story time and then a couple questions for you guys, so this should be fun. So I was at my local card show. It was the one that I set up at just a couple miles down the road. Monthly show. Some kid about my age brought up to me a 1935, what was supposed to be a 1935 Diamond Stars Jimmy Fox, but it was honestly just a reprint, a pretty rough fake that just looked kind of like a piece of paper with a picture of it printed on. So he brings it up to me and he asks me, since he sees I have a lot of vintage stuff and that's not really what he deals in, he asks if I'm interested in buying it. So my instant reaction, my first reaction was to tell him the truth, and that was just that the card is a reprint. I said, sorry my man, I don't think this card is real. It's all the colors are off, the borders are way too big. It's basically a sheet of paper, not cardboard. It was pretty far off from a real one. Now, this is where the first question comes in. So, like I said, he never asked me to kind of give my opinion on its authenticity. He basically just came up and asked if I was interested in buying it. So what is your opinion on if someone offers you something for sale and you realize that's a counterfeit? Should you tell them and let them know? Or do you think you should just kind of say, no, I'm not really interested in purchasing it? I just ended up telling him because he was around my age. I kind of wanted to help him out. He clearly didn't really deal with vintage type of stuff. And so I just wanted to tell him, let him know, hey, don't really try to grade this or, sell it to anyone as authentic, because it's not. Now, a couple minutes after this, something clicked in my head. Now, like I said, I was set up at the show, and about an hour before this, I remember someone coming up to my table, and this guy was kind of just chatting with me saying, I kind of like the vintage type stuff you got going on. I don't really do too much with it anymore. Don't really collect cards that much, but I used to have some, stuff like that. He was kind of looking at my case, he was asking me about graded cards, if I grade them myself and stuff like that, and they authenticate them. And the conversation came up, he was like, sometimes it's just really difficult to authenticate these. Some people have some really good fakes. You can't always tell. Sometimes you ask someone, they'll tell you it's real. You ask someone else and they'll tell you it's fake. And now he was like, I had this old card that I'm taking around. I was trying to sell it today to some people. He didn't have the card in his hand. He was talking about when he was trying to walk around offering it to dealers, and he pointed over towards the most respected dealer in the room as far as most vintage stuff. I mean, he's been doing it for 40 plus years. And this guy was kind of like, I took this old card that I was bringing around today over to him, and he said it was fake. But then I was taking around to other tables, and this dealer, he said he'd give me $100 for it. So how can it be fake if someone offered me $100 for it? So basically what happened was one dealer had told him it was fake, and he had taken it over to this other kid who was about my age, and he ended up purchasing it thinking it was real. So this is the second question. So when you're walking around and one dealer says something is fake, do you think you should still be able to go sell it to the next person, or do you think you should probably have to get a large consensus, 5-1 or 4-1 or something, 10-1, as far as people saying, no, that's real, before you would be comfortable going ahead and selling it? Or would you be comfortable selling it, kind of 50-50, not sure if it's real or fake? Now, I'm not saying this guy sold this kid this card on purpose to scam him or anything. I definitely didn't really get that impression, but I don't think he really went about it the best way, I would say. I don't want to put too much blame on the guy because he clearly didn't really know what he was doing. I think he should have taken some smarter steps to kind of avoid this. Like the dealer he asked originally that told him the card was a counterfeit, like I said, was the dealer with all the vintage cards. There's only probably 10 dealers there that do vintage, and he has as much as the other 9 combined. And he has the only 35 Diamond Stars in the entire room. So you would think maybe that would be the guy you would ask, the guy with all the 30s cards. And the person he sold it to clearly had no type of vintage baseball or anything at his table. It was like patch autos and newer football, basketball type stuff. As someone that's kind of newer to the hobby and someone who pretty recently got into kind of buying vintage cards, it can be hard to tell fakes, especially if you're not involved in that type of stuff regularly. It definitely hurt seeing someone that was really close to my age kind of having this happen to them, just because it was very relatable. Like if this would have been 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference between any real or fake cards either. Now here's kind of one final question for you guys. If you're walking around at a show and you're kind of on the buyer's perspective and you're walking around and you see a card in the dealer's case that is clearly a fake or counterfeit card and that is priced and trying to sell as authentic, then what do you think the moral obligation would be for the customer? Do you think you should tell the dealer and notify them that, hey, I don't think that card is real, that may be a reprint there, do you want to check it? Or do you just kind of keep passing by, either go to a different dealer or look at that dealer's other stuff? How would you kind of respond to that situation from the buyer's perspective where the dealer has a counterfeit? I know personally I don't really like telling people that their card is fake or counterfeit, so if I'm not basically directly asked, I don't usually say anything like that. However, this time I could tell that the kid really didn't know, so I just kind of let him know, hoping he didn't kind of pass it on to someone else and continue the trend. Like I said, I don't think the guy in my story was really trying to screw anyone over, but I just think he used some pretty bad logic when going to sell it. Basically saying, oh, well, a real one does 200 and a fake one is 0, so let's meet in the middle. Isn't really the best kind of logic. Should be fun reading what you guys have to say about this. I like kind of reading other people's different opinions and kind of your guys' thoughts on the situation. So what would you have done in my situation, as well as the guy who sold the card situation, as well as if you're walking around and you see a dealer has a counterfeit card. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.